Well, good morning. Here it is. It's Tuesday morning, and today, of course, is February the 4th. And I hope you had a great Monday. I hope that you were able to get this week kick started in the right fashion, get it going, and anyway, get off on the right foot. However you want to put it, and hope that you were able to accomplish maybe what you set out to do. But even if you came up a little short on time, God now has blessed us with the breath to breathe here on this Tuesday morning. And I certainly hope and pray that this morning finds you feeling well. Hope it finds you well rested and ready to tackle the opportunities that God has blessed us with here on this Tuesday morning. This morning I'd like to share a devotional with you entitled He is Risen. And we're looking at John chapter 20 this morning. And in chapter 20, verse 29, it says, "Then Jesus told him, 'You believe because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe without seeing me.'" Jesus' followers, they had seen him turn water into wine. They'd seen him heal the sick, the deaf, the blind, the disabled, and the demon-possessed. They'd seen him, feed 5,000 plus people with, only 5 small loaves and 2 fish. They'd seen him calm a storm at sea. They'd seen him raise Lazarus from the dead. They'd heard him, explain countless times that, he had to die, but that he would return. Yet it doesn't seem to have occurred to any of them, that he would rise from the dead. Now, Mary Magdalene, she visited Jesus' tomb very early on Sunday morning after the Sabbath. Her plan was to, anoint Jesus' corpse, with more spices. When she saw that the heavy stone in front of the tomb had been rolled away, she suspected that his body had been moved. She found Simon, Peter, and John and told them. And the 2 disciples, they ran to the tomb. And John, the younger one, he got there first, but he stopped outside. Simon Peter, the bolder one, he ran inside. And the 2 of them saw Jesus' grave clothes, but not his body. Now suddenly the truth dawned on John. And in verses 8 and 9, it says, he saw and believed, for until then, they still hadn't understood the scriptures that said Jesus must rise from the dead. The 2 disciples, they returned home, without telling Mary Magdalene, what, they had seen. But she stayed at the tomb, crying. But when she looked inside, she saw 2 angels, sitting where Jesus' body had been. And when she turned around, she saw what she thought was a gardener, and she asked him where they had taken Jesus' body. "Mary," the man said in verse 16, and that one word was all she needed to recognize Jesus' voice. That evening, all but one of Jesus' disciples met together. Only Thomas was missing. Apparently, they sensed, the targets on their backs because they met behind locked doors. But then suddenly, the risen Jesus, he appeared to them. He showed them his wounds, to prove that he had in fact died. Now, naturally, the disciples, they were overjoyed to be in his presence again. But Thomas wasn't overjoyed, when they told him about it later. For him, you see, the news was too good to be true. In verse 25, it says, "I won't believe it unless I see the nail wounds in his hands. I put my fingers into them and place my hand into the wound in his side." And 8 days later, the disciples, met again behind locked doors. And this time Thomas was with them. Suddenly Jesus appeared again. In verse 27, it says, "Then he said to Thomas, 'Put your finger here and look at my hands. Put your hand into the wound in my side. Don't be faithless any longer, believe.'" He gave Thomas the evidence that he needed to believe. Thomas and the other disciples, they had an essential ministry ahead of them. They would tell the world, what they had seen Jesus do and what they'd heard him say, so that others who, hadn't seen or heard him might believe. Jesus ensured that his followers, had what they needed to carry out their assignment. And Jesus does that again today. He provides everything that we need to carry out the assignment that God has given us. Let me leave you with this question. How has the resurrection of Jesus given you hope? It gives us all the hope we need. And I know that's how I feel about it, and I hope that's how you feel about it. But anyway, I hope that encourages you here on this Tuesday morning. I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember, Angie and I, we love you guys, and we're praying for you. And Lord willing, I'll see you tomorrow morning. God bless you.